Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden with Channel 6 Central Kentucky TV, community focus on Washington County. And welcome Roberta Hunt,
Thank you.
who just retired from the Extension Office as the, what was your title when you retired?
I was Washington County 4-H Youth Development Agent, so that's a mouthful.
And what did we use? What was your name when you first started out in this position?
Just 4-H.
Your title.
4-H agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the University of Kentucky, they have to fancy it up a little bit. I can say that now, right?
Right. Well, and that's what we always called you, the 4-H agent. And now Roberta, that's been how many years ago when you first came to Washington County?
It was, if I had stayed through September, it would have been 35 years.
Wow.
So,
and then prior to that, before you came here?
I was 3 years in Western Kentucky.
Okay. And that's where you're from?
No, I'm actually from Montgomery County.
Okay.
Just about 25 miles east of Lexington.
Okay. And so, but your first position with 4-H
was on the Mississippi River. I was as far away from home as they could send you at that time. It was like being in another state because it was over 300 miles. And so it was a good 5.5 to 6 hours to get home to see family. So right out of college, you know, sink or swim.
Yeah. You were probably homesick.
Oh, yes, very, very often.
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
But it was a very friendly community, and of course when you're in a public job and working with a lot of people, you make friends very quickly and acquaintances, and so it was a really good place to go, and made a lot of friends, and that I hope to reconnect with now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you might have a little time to do that.
Exactly.
So you've stayed in touch with some of those people there.
Well, you know, with technology and so forth, with Facebook,
Yeah.
you know, it makes it so much easier
Right.
today.
Yeah, it really does. And so then I suppose a position came open here that was closer to home.
That's right. And in fact, someone else I had worked with had moved in the area and called me on the phone and said that this position was coming open, that maybe I could get my name in really quick and have an opportunity to get the position, and I was able to do so. So that made things...
Now, who was that was here already?
Oh, they weren't in Washington County. They were in Marion County.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so, yeah, so I'm trying to... Whose place did you take when you came?
I took Bernie Bourbeau's place.
Oh, that's right.
And so, you know, we have had such with all of our extension positions, with the exception of maybe the family consumer science position. There was some quick turnover there for a few years. But when people come to Washington County, they stay. And that says a lot for the community, and what a nice community it is, and what nice people we have here.
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's probably like home to you, isn't it, Roberta? I mean,
well, I've
this has
lived
been
here,
your home.
I've lived here longer than I have anywhere else,
Yeah.
so I guess you would say it's my home, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can think about when you first came. I guess that's, you know, telling my age too, of course. But, you know, my children were little, and they were involved in 4-H. And I suppose, Roberta, through the years, that position in itself has evolved or added responsibilities.
Absolutely. Things change with time. And so as the needs of young people change, the job changes. Now, some things, anytime you teach basic life skills, that a lot of that stays the same. But programming changes to meet new needs of the community and of the young people. So,
well, of course, I know you had cooking, and which my children participated in, and you still have cooking.
we do, and we still do sewing. And in fact, they just held the 4-H Fashion Review last night, and so
we've got some real designers and seamstresses around here, don't
We
we?
do, we do. We have a lot of good volunteers, and you know, that's what makes a community strong, is when people are willing to give back. And we have been fortunate in 4-H that the people who have volunteered to teach those life skills, you know, they give very unselfishly. And so, you know, a lot of young people's lives have been touched over the years because of the volunteers. And so it's hard to remember the hundreds and hundreds of volunteers and who they all are, but they're out there, and they should give themselves a pat on the back for all that they've done for the young people of Washington County.
Yeah. Well, that's true. We want to thank those. I myself was a 4-H leader at one time. I've judged 4-H speeches
That's right.
and various other things, and gone with leadership to things. I mean, and it's so good that we have been able to have a good volunteer base that has been able to support those endeavors that you have that you've led us in, Roberta.
Well, and something too, with our teen and adult leadership programs, I think that has strengthened the core of volunteership in Washington County. So, you know, a lot of those teens that first went through the program 15 years ago are coming back or have come back and are the base of our leadership in our community now.
Yeah.
A lot of them running for office.
I know.
Isn't that exciting?
It really is that we've got, yes, indeed. And the teen leader, I mean the teen leadership program is, as you said, is so, I think, important. And there's just so many things. Of course, one of my favorites, of course, was bowling. And we don't have bowling anymore.
Well, you know, I'll let a secret out. It wasn't one of my favorite because it was 6 Saturdays in a row, and then there were so many other events on Saturdays. Sometimes I would have 3 4-H events on the same Saturday. And, you know, you can't make it to all of them, but
oh my gosh.
Anyway, it was, you know, that was a rough time of year to try to coordinate all of those kids, and it was a very strong program, and the only one that was ever in the state, and Bernie Borbo started that program, and it just happened that other sports events started in the community and gave more opportunities, and the numbers just, the kids couldn't do it all.
Yeah.
And so other sporting events, you know, caused that program to stop. But it was a good program, and do you know, there are a lot of adults that will, you know, if I see them, they'll say, well, my family went bowling the other night, and they just couldn't believe that I did so well, you know. And I think a lot of people enjoy bowling today because of that program.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, my kids enjoy bowling, and you know they were all in bowling.
Right.
So,
right. It was a fun time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Another program that I really enjoyed years ago that was our 4-H Exchange Club, and you know, 30 years ago, young people did not have the opportunity to travel like they do today, and so we kept this program until about 10 years ago. And then the numbers just, of course, didn't support it because kids are so well traveled today. But, you know, they would go and spend a week with a family in Montana or Colorado, and then those 4-H'ers would come and stay with our families. And it was a lot of hard work, but it was a lot of fun, and everybody really enjoyed it. So that was a fun program.
And kids got a lot of good experiences, you know, with that.
They're still friends
Yeah.
today, and they've been in each other's weddings and you know, travel back and forth to see each other. There's still several families today that
That's great.
travel back and forth.
Yeah. And so now, Roberta, what are some of the other programs that you can think of that you've enjoyed? And of course, some of them all, you know, are, well, I know that has changed through the years. It used to be we had 4-H meetings through the day at school.
And we still do educational programming during school time. We just don't have club meetings during school time. We have our project clubs, those types of clubs after school time. But one that's coming up right away is 4-H camp, and I loved 4-H camp. And I will say that the first year I came, there were some boys that just about caused me to quit my job. And if they were out there listening, they would know who they were. But anyway, I love camp, and our 4-H camp has gone through a lot of improvements, and this year we have, right now, there's a waiting list for boys and just a few spots left for girls, and so I was able to work on camp and get a lot of that done before retiring, and so that's pretty exciting. So to know that we've got a good number going to camp and to carry on that tradition, I just can't say enough about camp.
Yeah,
that's it provides a lot of good opportunities for young people to make new friends and to learn to stay away from home and be independent.
Right, right. And they still can go starting in
well, as long as they're
grade?
as long as they're 9 years old, and a lot of third graders are 9 years old. So as long as they're 9 years old, by the time camp comes around, then they can sign up for camp.
I know that my children made friendships, and Blair particularly, I think, with some kids from LaRue County, and they are still friends today.
Yes, and we still camp with LaRue County.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah. And now, Roberta, I'm going to have to ask how old you were when you first started here, because, you know, a lot of those kids, speaking of those campers and some of those boys, they were bigger than you. and you know, you were probably only what?
I was 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they probably thought they could run all over you.
Well, the only one I ever sent home from camp, I've only sent one child home from camp for discipline reasons, and it was from one of those first groups of boys. So there you go. I won't mention any names, but
and you probably thought you'd gone into the wrong profession.
Let me tell you, it was nip and tuck there for a while.
Well, but you know, obviously you've had a good way with children, and it was clear too. I can remember some of those looks at bowling or something like that, when you know when you meant business. And of course that's a good leader.
Well,
but they loved you nonetheless.
Well, there's a lot out there that you know, that have gone on to do some really great things, and it's a joy to be able to see them on Facebook or wherever it might be, through the newspaper, of their achievements. So that means a lot.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you know, all these children, you know, they admired you and looked up to you and appreciated your leadership, and I guarantee you, if you're anywhere in the state, now that you're going to have a little time on your hands, and you run into one, they'll be talking with you about.
Well, there's a lot of water under the dam, so they say, or under the bridge, whatever it is. Under the bridge, right? But
so think of some of your. Some of the things that you are most proud of.
Well, I'm proud of our public speaking program, because I think that has really impacted a lot of young people. They've been able to get up in front of groups and speak, and they still might not like it, but they still have that skill that they learned through 4-H public speaking, through the Talk Me program. So I think that's one thing that not only our office, but the schools, working with the schools, they should be very proud of, that it has a lot of impact on the young people. So that, our leadership programming, one program this year that is very exciting is a traditional program. It's our livestock club. Last year they had 6 involved. This year we have 18 children plus 2 clover buds. So we've got 20 young people that are actively looking at agriculture as a way that they want to try to raise money now. They want to get involved in showing and learning more about the livestock industry. So, you know, that's a very traditional 4-H program. So I think, you know, keeping our roots has been important, but then looking, you know, beyond that to what other life skills that we can teach young people that's important. And of course, you know, working with high school students with leadership has always been something that I've really enjoyed and feel like we've had a large impact on a large number of young people.
Yeah, yeah. And then there are programs that have started over the years that you've started, you know, in addition to that. I mean, well, we've got sheep. Do we still do the sheep?
No, we don't. We might have a few children that are interested in showing sheep, but it's mainly goats, you know, kindly have changed. But no, we don't have that program anymore. So, you know, time changes and things go and then they come back again. You know, it just depends. But another thing to be very proud of is in Washington County and the support it's received is our Food for Kids backpack program. And that was started by a high school group of 4-Hers who attended a conference. They wrote a grant, received money, and that's been going on now. My goodness.
Oh gosh.
I'd have to look at records to see how long, 15 to 20 years, and it's been quite a while. And although we've changed how we've done that program, you know, the high school students used to go and buy the food, pack it in backpacks themselves, and now we go through Feeding America to get the food because it's much less expensive. But the community has been so supportive. Organizations have donated money for that, and it's still needed because each year that the food price goes up a little bit. So that support is still needed.
And I think that's kind of administered through the Family Resource Center and the schools.
It is. 4-H takes care of the fundraising end of it, and then the Family Resource Centers take care of the distribution.
And that is a program for children to take home food on the weekends.
That's correct.
That, you know, for snacks and things, and just to, in case there's a shortage of food.
Exactly, for food insecurity reasons, and to help tide them over until the school week begins again.
Yeah, I think it's a great program. I guess I'd forgotten that it was started through 4-H.
Through those Attending Issues Conference, and I know maybe all 3 of yours may have attended Issues Conference, and that's probably one of the best conferences that I know of that young people can attend. Happens in the fall, so around end of September, 1st of October is the registration time period, and usually the the weekend before Thanksgiving weekend is when it's normally held. And it's open for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So I would highly recommend that to any parents listening or young people listening. Yeah,
yeah, that's a great program. And Roberta, when you start mentioning all of these different programs, I think, when were you ever home? Because these programs were 24/7.
Well, that's what my family says, so I'll be reconnecting with a lot of family, not just my immediate family, but with cousins, you know, and aunts and uncles, people that I haven't had a chance to really visit with. So I'll reconnect with them as well as friends and get to do some traveling also. Yeah. Yeah, lots of fun.
Because you were traveling with your job primarily. Your summer vacation was 4-H camp.
Well, I did find some time in between to do a few trips and have some enjoyment. But summer, you know, to me was the fun time because I did enjoy camp and those activities.
And so, I mean, you've got a lot of catching up though to do now.
That's right, and I'm going to work hard at it too.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, I hope you don't plan on going anywhere.
Well, not anytime soon. I've got lots to do around here, and
I mean, not moving, in other words, anywhere.
not for a while.
Okay.
But you know,
Because this
I've
is
got
your home, don't forget.
well, I've got a lot of family that keeps saying, you know, move a little closer, move a little closer. So
But
we'll
you're
see.
just how far from home?
90 miles.
Okay. So that is a pretty good drive, hour and a half.
Right.
And now, and I know you probably have lots of hobbies that you enjoy and haven't had the opportunity to get to do much.
I'll be rediscovering a lot of those.
Anything in particular that you like?
Well, you know, I hope to reconnect with the horse industry somehow, and so I grew up showing horses, so I've missed out on a lot of that over the years, and I've got a great niece that has a new pony, so I probably will help her a little bit, or try to get back into the groove so I can help her a little bit, and catch up on some reading, and you know, there's a lot to do.
Oh. Probably lots of work to do at home.
That's right.
If you know, you're like me. I think I was going to clean out the basement when I retired, and I still haven't.
I've heard those, not about you, but a lot of people have told me that they have great intentions, you know, and it doesn't always happen. So.
Well, you can think of other things that are a lot more fun.
Right, right, absolutely.
But now, Roberta, and we've got that horse. Do we still have the what do you call it, the Washington County
Young Riders?
Young Riders?
We do.
Yeah.
And they just went to horse camp a couple of weekends ago, and then in another couple of weeks they'll do their district horse show down in Bowling Green at the West Kentucky University Ag Expo. And so they've got that coming up, and then they'll go to state competition. So they stay busy. And
did you participate in that and get to ride horses with them, or?
Very rarely, very rarely. Back in the early days, I went on a couple of trail rides, but not in recent years. So,
do you have to have a horse to participate in that?
You don't. There are a lot of activities that young people can do centered around. We've got one young lady that's not really riding in, like at horse camp. They can go as a horseless participant, and they'll get hands-on experience in grooming and taking care, and so there's a lot of opportunities for young people without a horse.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Because, you know, so many young people like horses. My children did too, but, you know, they didn't participate in that. But that's good information. And so, now you've got to tell a couple of stories before our interview concludes. Some good funny ones, or something that you will never forget. A good story
Oh, Lisa.
that comes to mind. I know there's got to be at least a couple, Roberta.
Goodness. Well, see, you've put me on the spot. I just, you know, you just remember when the times that you've had to discipline, or you've had to, you know, those are the ones that stick out in your mind, when you've had to send someone home or make them do something they didn't want to do. Those are the funny ones, you know, that we can look back on and joke now, because all those young people usually grow up to be outstanding individuals and have children of their own, and if I see them out in public, I usually threaten them, and it's like, come on, go to camp with me. Come on and do this, you know, with your child. Let's see how you do, you know, in the volunteer row instead of as the troublemaker. And but anyway, it's always good to see the young people grow up and work their way out of some of those. I don't want to say problem
behaviors as a child, which you know, you know, that's not unusual, and then to see these kids become successful and do well, and a lot of times it's a result of their involvement in organizations like 4-H.
Absolutely, and that's why youth programming is so important, and so important to a successful community.
Yeah. And I like the fact that our 4-H camp gives scholarships to students who cannot maybe afford to go.
And a shout out to local organizations that have donated money for that to happen, because it does enable a lot of young people, especially if they have more than one child in the family. You know, you might be able to get one there, but you can't get two. But with a scholarship, that provides some help. So anyway,
that's good.
I'm really appreciative to. I don't want to mention just one or two organizations that donate. I may leave somebody out, and over the years it's been various, you know, people that have supported, you know, even individuals.
Yeah.
So like you said, that really makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah, that's good to know. So we'll just have to mention that here in case there's anyone. That 4-H camp will be coming up, and if there's anyone that would like to donate to that program, I suppose it's tax deductible. Well, if we're going to get any tax deductions anymore on those, on your charitable donations, I don't know. But I guess it would be normally a tax deductible gift if you gave that to 4-H for camp or something. Yeah.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah,
or for the backpack program.
Or for the back. I know our BPW club gives to the backpack program. So, but how much does camp cost per?
Well, it's gone up a lot since your children went. It's now $210, and a lot of counties have to charge more, but our 4-H council voted not to tack on extra money for buses and different things like that. Some counties have to do so. And then there are other counties that have been able to receive endowments and gifts, large gifts from individuals that have made children either be able to go either free or at a very reduced cost. So, you know, it varies from county to county as to what it is. So, of the counties going with us, I think we have the lowest cost.
That's great.
So
it's very good. And see, there's another group of volunteers, your 4-H council.
Right.
And and there's just so many volunteers that help support 4-H, and you're, you know, through attending camp as as camp leaders or all kinds of things.
Absolutely, very important.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on, Lisa.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you could come. But now, Roberta, you just got, surely, isn't there something you want
Lisa, now you don't want you don't want me to tell any tales.
Did one of those kids ever put a frog in your bed or anything of that nature?
No, but we did have a lot who would play pranks on other people in their cabins with shaving cream and things like that. And I had to outlaw that. You know, anyone caught with shaving cream is going to be sent home because it got a little out of hand the first couple of years. And but one time on a trip to not Kentucky Kingdom, but to Cincinnati.
To the Kings Island.
Kings Island. We couldn't find someone when it was time to leave. They had ran off because they weren't ready to leave. And it was a young man. And so when we did find him, his punishment was to ride beside me in the front seat on the way home. And that hurt him worse than anything else could have. You know, riding in the front seat was not cool, and then having to ride beside me was even more uncool. So anyway.
Oh, that's a good one, Roberta.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah. He wanted to stay longer.
He did. He did.
Well, I had forgotten about those good trips to Kings Island and then Kentucky Kingdom and all the things.
Holiday World.
Yeah.
So
there's some fun trips in there, that's for sure.
Rewards.
Yeah.
Rewards.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Roberta, I just want to thank you for all your hard work through the years, and I know it wasn't just a job; it was a dedicated profession. Because certainly you went above and beyond the call of duty.
Well.
And you've been quite an asset to this community.
Well,
and
thank you.
And you have been a true leader to lots of children. And
Well.
I just want to thank you for that, and tell you how much we appreciate that. I know our whole community does.
Well, thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that.
So, yeah. Well, thanks for being here today. And we'll have you back on.
Oh, we'll
see what you're up to. Thanks.